Finally! Okay. Yes, first of all, I am in my little brother's room because I am home for Thanksgiving break and I don't have a place to really film my room. My little sister took my room, but her room, which I now stay in, which is like a guest room, has really bad lighting. This one is right in front of a window, so it's working perfectly. And yeah, so I'm just in my little brother's room. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my journey with PCOS and so what I've discovered so far and what it is and just some basic things. So first of all, I found out that I had PCOS or Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome about 2 months ago. Okay, so there's a lot of things going on. The first thing was I was literally on my period for 2 months. It wouldn't stop. And for me, it wasn't the weirdest thing because my entire life since I, hit puberty, I've never had regular periods. I would have my period and then 6 months later, I'd have another one. It was never like this month, 28-day cycle, this month. It was always, months apart, and then it'd be like one cycle would be 7 days and then the cycle would be 4 days. It would never regulate, and that's how it's been my entire life. And I'm 20 years old now, so from the age of 11 or 12, whenever I started, for it to be that irregular that long, that was kind of a signal, a red flag that something was going on. Also, since I graduated high school, I've been putting on a lot of weight, and it was more than just, the freshman 15. It was, especially because in high school, I ate literally Taco Bell every day. Senior secretary, I was vice president of show choir, and then I was president of the drama club. And so I kept myself really busy. I would usually have, during our busy season where everything was going on, I would have school until, 8 to 3. And then I would have play practice or musical practice from 3:30 to 5:30. 30 minutes for dinner, and then I'd have show choir from 6 to 9, 6 to 10, depending. So that was a lot, So if you got good grades at some point, which I did, you could go out for lunch. So I would go out for lunch every day. After school, I would go to Taco Bell with my friends literally almost every day. So I was eating like crap, but my metabolism was fast. I wasn't eating good, but it didn't matter. I was still thin, I had always had a tiny waist and bigger hips, but at the time I was just like, that's just the way I look. It's fine. When I got to college, I started eating healthier, actually. I remember at the food courts, I would go and I would get a salad like almost every day for lunch, and I was gaining weight, and I was in 2 dance classes, so I was working out a lot more, and I was walking all over campus. I didn't have my car. So, it should have been that I was losing weight, but instead I was kind of, not rapidly, just kind of slowly gaining weight. And then, first it was 10 pounds, then it was 20 pounds, and I was just kind of like, I don't know why I'm still gaining weight, because especially over the summer, I got my tonsils taken out, and, I'm a junior in college now. I got my tonsils taken out, and I went a whole week without eating, literally. I was eating popsicles and soup, and the soup was dairy-based. Just something to remember for later. And I didn't lose any weight, even though I was literally not eating any food for like a week. So that was another red flag for me. Like, why? Like, I'm literally not eating anything. Why am I not losing weight still? Then I had the whole acne issue, where my acne was terrible. It's still there, but God, compared to what it was, this is so much better. It was a nightmare. It was usually around the time I was about to start my period. It would just flare up, and I was like, I tried everything Proactive, all the Neutrogena products. Everything. I really, it was a nightmare. I went days without wearing makeup, and that did nothing. Like, I even switched to, more expensive makeup, which, was better anyway, but it wasn't that, because it was my hormones. It was 100% my hormones. It had nothing to do with I wasn't washing my face enough or anything like that. So I went to the doctor, and they basically were like, well, let's check all of these things. They checked me for STDs. I don't know why, But I mean, I guess I get it, but at the same time, it was kind of like, it seemed kind of pointless. So after they figured out that it wasn't that, they're like, okay, well, let's check you for this. And they checked see if I had diabetes, and they checked to see just a whole bunch of stuff. And then finally she was like, you know what? You have PCOS, which is Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. And I didn't know anything about it. And my doctor didn't tell me anything about it. She's like, oh, well, you have PCOS. Okay, have a good day. Didn't tell me anything. She actually, you know, I went to go see a nutritionalist about the same time. I literally had the appointments like the same day. And my nutritionalist was I was already on a 1,200 calorie diet, not losing any weight. Really watching my carbs. Wasn't eating more than like 60 carbs a day, if probably more than that. But I was still eating dairy and gluten and all of that stuff. And so she was like, well, let's just put you on a 1,200 calorie diet and try to eat more similar foods every day. Like, you should have you should have like this much dairy, this much wheat, this much carbs. She told me to actually eat more carbs because she told me that my body was in starvation mode because I was eating, you know, some days I was only eating 900 calories. And so she said, your body's in starvation mode, so you actually need to eat at least 120 carbs a day and this much dairy because you're not eating enough, you're not getting enough calcium. And I was just like, you want me to eat more carbs? Because I've tried the Atkins diet and it didn't work for me. But I still maybe lost within maybe 5 pounds. Like I stopped gaining weight at least. So I knew that was crap. I was like, I told her, I was like, I have PCOS. So what does that mean? Didn't tell me anything. It was a nightmare. So I told my mom, and my mom started contacting some holistic kind of doctors and like look up all this information. She worked at a job at the time where she could, you know, listen to podcasts while she did her work. So she listened to tons and tons of podcasts about PCOS. And so she, you know, called me and gave me all this information, and I was like devastated at first because basically she was like, there is no cure for it. There are medications you can take. However, they're not going to cure it. They're just going to help. But she was like, I really think you should take a holistic approach to it to naturally get your body in sync with your, you know, balance your hormones and all of that, so that you really don't have to rely on these medications that are going to be a Band-Aid. One of the medications that was recommended to me by the doctor was spirolactone, which is a diuretic, first of all. And all of that does is block your androgen, because when I did get my blood results back, I never talked about that, I had high testosterone levels, and that's what she, you know, used to determine, yes, you have PCOS. So my high testosterone levels is one of the, you know, the indicating factors that you have PCOS in women, because my testosterone levels were higher than what, you know, are normal for women. And so that causes, in women, that causes hair growth along the jawline. And luckily, I don't have that, but it also causes acne because of the androgen, which is the testosterone being released, and it causes a lot of acne around the time that your period is. When your insulin spikes, so does your testosterone levels, and so everything's connected. If one hormone is out of balance, all of them are going to be out of balance. So it's essentially an endocrine disorder, but it's a hormonal disorder. So the spirolactone was supposed to help block the acne. Every time that I took the spirolactone, I threw up. It was a nightmare. I stopped taking it after 2 weeks because I wasn't down for throwing up all the time, you know, and that was one of the things that some people just, it's not going to help. Secondly, my doctor didn't recommend this, which I was surprised, because apparently most women that do have PCOS just do this, and this is the only thing that they do. They take something called metformin. Now, one thing that I think a lot of women that take metformin don't understand is metformin is not a pill for women with PCOS. It is not a medication for polycystic ovarian syndrome. Metformin is a medication for people with diabetes to help regulate their insulin levels. It has nothing to do with hormones. One of the things with PCOS is that your insulin levels are really sensitive, just like people with diabetes. So women with PCOS are more likely to have diabetes down the road, but it's not the same thing. So metformin is more a band-aid for the problem. It's not solving anything. And so that's what, if you're going to continue to have the same diet, you're going to continue to eat a lot of sugar, and you don't want your blood sugar to spike, that's an option, but it's not the best option. It's not the best for your body. There's actually a website called PCOSdiva.com, I think, .com or .org, I'm not sure, but it talks about like some of the medications and some of the things like that, and that's just one of the many websites, many podcasts that there are access to, that you can get so much information. But anyway, so now I'm going to talk about what my journey has been in the past 2 months. For me, I found, when my mom called me and told me all this stuff, she told me that I needed to stop eating gluten. I needed to stop having dairy. And this is, for someone who loves cheese, that was a nightmare to hear. I love bread and I love cheese. So and I love pasta. So there you go. And then also to lose weight, I was going to have to really cut down on the carbs. Even though I really wasn't eating that much to begin with, especially on the standard Western diet, most people are eating about 150 carbs a day. And I was having, 60, if that. So, except the days that I binged on bread, of course, that was a lot more. And but when I had started trying to lose weight, I wasn't cutting down on dairy at all. So, my first week, I went cold turkey. I cut out all the gluten. I cut out all the dairy. I went to the health food store and I bought all, coconut milk, lots and lots of protein, because my diet is very protein based. And also I had to cut out anything that was injected with hormones. So pretty much beef. In Indiana, at least, I don't know about everywhere else, it is illegal for companies to give steroids or hormones to chicken and pork. So I wasn't worried about that because I could already have that. But for beef, it's really hard to find beef that's organic or grass-fed, at least. So I kind of been sticking more to like the turkey substitutes for that. Anyway, if I give you like a typical idea of what a day of mine looks like: wake up, have my coffee. I didn't have to cut out my coffee, thank God. I'll have eggs and turkey bacon, and then I'll pack a lunch. My snack will be like a little bag of peanuts. My lunch can consist of like a side of green beans, or like sauteed turnips, and these are all things that I have to do the night before. Of course, I can't saute turnips at school, but saute turnips, and then maybe like some chicken or some tuna or something like that. Usually what I'll do is I'll make dinner and then I'll have leftovers and I'll take that for lunch the next day. Then for my afternoon snack, I might have like some olives, or I'll have I love seaweed. I have these seaweed packets that I get, and they're great. And then for dinner, I'll have usually a stir fry of some sort with like broccoli, cauliflower. I'll do like cauliflower rice, or with chicken, or turkey, or fish, shrimp, really anything that's like vegetables and then a meat. Now, some things that I really stay away from are fruit, because fruits are very high in sugar, and for me it's just not worth the carbs to eat a banana, which has 27 grams of carbs. I stay away from all candy. Like, candy's not a thing. Like, I can have dark chocolate, like, in moderation. Not really anything. I mean, I don't have any bread. I don't have any milk, no cheese. But I mean, I swear that first week of not having any dairy, like, I feel like it was the dairy alone, my stomach went down so much. And I think it was literally just because I was so bloated. I was literally just like, from the years of possibly being lactose intolerant, just eating cheese and dairy, and it's just like, I felt so much better. Like, I felt better. My stomach wasn't hurting constantly, and it was just, it was just better all around. Now for the good news, and the 2 months that I've been doing this, you know, I have lost almost 20 pounds. I'm up to like 17 pounds now. You know, once I get to the weight that I want to get at, I'll kind of boost up my carb gram level. You know, right now I'm only having about 20 a day, which is put my body in something called ketosis. So when you stop relying, your body relies on carbs to burn energy. So when you stop having carbs, your body starts burning fat constantly. So your body goes through something called ketosis. And when you're burning the fat, your body releases something called ketones. So, you know, when your body's in ketosis, you're burning fat constantly. Your body's no longer burning carbs for energy. It's burning the fat that's stored. So that's why I've been losing so much weight. And, you know, I feel like I'm not huge, so like, you know, I've struggled with my weight my whole life. I've always felt big, but 2 months to lose almost 20 pounds is pretty good for, I mean, my size. I feel like I've done a really good job and I'm really proud of myself. But anyway, that's kind of my journey with it so far. I really want to start making videos, you know, once I'm done with school. School is kind of coming up with finals and all of that, and I'm really excited because I feel like I'm starting a healthier lifestyle where I'm healthier. My hormones are finally balancing out, and I know what was wrong with me, and I don't feel alone either because there's so many resources available for women, and it's scary at first because you get online and you read all these things about like how having PCOS means you might be infertile. Or, you know, having PCOS means that, you know, you're never going to have regular periods. You're never going to have a face with no acne. And there's things that you can do. And, you know, whenever you have the word syndrome attached to anything, that's kind of scary. But all syndrome means is a group of symptoms together equal this. So it's not like a disease. It's just something that a lot of women have, and there are ways to cope with it. And so it is something that I'm going to have the rest of my life. And so, you know, as being only 20, I feel like I'm already in a good place and I feel really good about it. I want people to know that there are options. I want to make videos about, you know, what certain symptoms mean, what things you can do to help those certain symptoms, food alternatives, like who would have known that turnips taste almost exactly like sweet potatoes. These are things that people don't know, and I recently got a big book full of recipes for PCOS that are dairy and gluten-free, and yeah, it's just, I feel better and I feel healthier, and I think that a lot of women suffer alone, and I don't want them to. I want them to feel like there are options. And so I might make a video about like my daily meal plan, or like my day, or like a recipe kind of thing, or like my exercise routines, and, you know, just things you can do, because I already have, it's been 2 months and I'm already seeing my life literally turn around. So yeah, and then I want to answer questions too. So if people have questions about PCOS, or like maybe I have this, I feel like I have some of these symptoms, does this mean that I have it? So I think that that's a good place to end this. So yeah, I feel good and you should feel good too. So I'm excited to begin this journey. Yeah, okay.